Welcome, everyone. Welcome to our Hamilton Hangout for this evening. We'll be starting in just a few seconds, but welcome. Having some more people join us, which is great. We were just talking about how it's a beautiful day on campus. You can kind of see the sunshine coming in through the windows, which is awesome. For those of you who are joining us, welcome to our Hamilton Hangout for Athletic and Wellness. We'll be getting started in just a few more seconds. You're welcome to say hello in the chat if you'd like, and my colleague Alexa Ray just posted something in there. If you have any questions, you can put that in the Q&A section of this. But we're going to get started now. I think we've kind of stabilized and others can join us as well. But welcome to everyone who's joining us tonight. My name is Jack Nivison. I'm one of the senior assistant deans here at Hamilton. Thank you for joining us for our Hamilton Hangout. The goal for tonight, and the topic is athletic and wellness. So we're here to learn a little bit more about athletic and wellness opportunities at Hamilton. This panel is going to discuss different information about physical education courses, varsity athletics, club and intramural sports, our athletic and fitness centers, and our wellness program, and more. And we're really excited for you to join us, and we're excited to be joined by our panelists. And I'm actually going to turn things over to our moderator tonight, who is Isla Karabikovic. She's one of our seniors here at Hamilton, and she's going to be your moderator tonight. So I'm going to let her introduce herself, and I hope you all have a wonderful evening, and thank you to our panelists for joining us tonight. But I hope you learn a lot about athletics and fitness and wellness. So Isla, take it away.
Jack. Hi, so like Jack said, my name's Isla, and I'm a senior here at Hamilton. I'll introduce myself first, and then my fellow panelists, John, Dave, Patty, and Nigel will go as well. But just to introduce a little bit about myself. So like I said, my name's Isla. I'm a senior here at Hamilton. I'm from Rochester, New York, so I'm about 2.5 hours away from Hamilton, so not too far. I'm a biology major and a sociology minor, and I'm also pre-med. Some things I'm involved with outside the classroom. So I'm a member of the women's varsity tennis team. I work in the admissions office as a senior fellow, so I might have interviewed some of you as well. And I'm also a biology TA, and I do a lot of tutoring in the biology department as well. But that's just like a little bit about me. And if John wants to go ahead and introduce himself now.
Thanks, Isla. Hi, everyone. My name's John Hind. I'm Director of Athletics, Professor and Chair in the Physical Education Department. I am a Hamilton graduate, class of 1980, majored in mathematics and economics, and played football and lacrosse while I was at the college. Dave?
Hi, everybody. I'm Dave Thompson. Glad you could meet with us tonight. I'm the director of the Fitness Center, and I am the director of Campus Wellness, Intramurals, and Recreation. I'm speaking to you tonight from my office in the Blood Fitness Center, and I promise you that I did not orchestrate whatever's going on back there. It's spontaneous activity. So welcome. Looking forward to talking with you tonight. Patty.
Hi, everybody. I'm Patti Cloyt. I'm in my 19th season as the head women's lacrosse coach at Hamilton. I'm also a professor in the Physical Education Department, and I'm coming to you live from my office in Alumni Gym. Thanks for joining us. Nigel.
This is me. Hi, everyone. My name is Nigel Scott. I'm a sophomore, class of 2023. I'm from Melbourne, Florida. I'm the central east coast of Florida, about 45 minutes from Disney World. I play quarterback here at Hamilton for the football team, and I'm also a member of the Student Athletic Advisory Committee. So glad to be here with you all. And I'm in my dorm room here on campus. So.
Great, thanks guys. I should have said I'm also coming live from the admissions office too, so you can kind of see campus outside. Still pretty sunny here. But just for a quick overview of our evening, we're going to try to get to as many questions as possible. And thank you so much to everyone who's already submitted questions. But like Jack said, if you guys have any other questions, feel free to throw them in the chat and we will try to answer as many as possible. We also have admissions officers in the chat who will be able to answer some questions as well. And if we don't get to your question, feel free to email them to admissions@hamilton.edu as well. But kind of like Jack said, we are going to split up the questions into various sections. And to get started, we're just kind of going to start off with general health, fitness, and wellness options on campus. And so the first question I'm going to throw out there for all our panelists is, what's the college's philosophy towards health and wellness and fitness, and just kind of describing some of those facilities that are available to students as well. And I think it's fitting to throw it over to Dave first, and then John can maybe tackle that as well.
Absolutely. Well, thanks. I would say that the college recognizes that wellness and fitness and lifetime activities are a critical part of the overall education, especially liberal arts education. And as a result of that, we've had a required physical education program for the better part of 50 years or more. And I'm proud to say that there's actually been a wellness component well ahead of our time as part of that requirement for close to 30 years. So, I think that's the general philosophy, that we're going to provide wellness and fitness and recreation opportunities at every level for every student from the time they arrive until they graduate. And it's our hope that they take those lessons with them to be successful when they leave here. And I'll leave it there for the moment. I don't know if John wanted to jump in a little bit on that before I get into facilities.
Yeah, I would just say philosophically, I would agree completely with Dave. The three of us on here tonight, Patty, myself, and Dave, are all full professors here at the college. We, as again, part of the teaching mission, we look at ourselves as just an extension in another department across our campus. And we acknowledge that we touch the lives of every student who's at Hamilton. Everyone takes the physical education programming. Our varsity athlete population exceeds 30%. When we put in the club programs, we're up over 50%. When we add in intramurals, we're up in the 70%. So we really impact a lot of folks on our campus. We're proud of it, and we take great pride in it. And so Dave, I'll put it back over to you.
Well, we're so fortunate here. We have really spectacular facilities. I'm speaking to you tonight from the Blood Fitness Center. We've been in this facility about 14 years. It's just a state-of-the-art facility with all of the best equipment that we can find for you. We've got tremendous outdoor facilities, artificial turf fields, multiple grass fields, multiple miles of trails to walk and jog and mountain bike on. We have beautiful outdoor tennis courts. We have an outdoor basketball court. We have just added a fantastic professional golf practice facility just in the last couple of years. Indoors, we've got a beautiful gym in our field house. Of course, our field house is a multi-purpose facility where we can play tennis and volleyball and basketball and track and many other activities. We've just renovated the old alumni gym. The alumni gym was built in 1940, but we just did a beautiful renovation of the gym there. We've got a magnificent swimming pool. We've got great squash courts. We've got a wonderful historic hockey rink and more. But just to name a few, I'm sure the students would agree, when you come to do recreation or play a sport here, you're going to be in a great facility. And I think we've got pretty much everything everyone needs to be fit and active.
Great, thank you guys so much. And yes, definitely can attest that there are a lot of different options to stay active on campus. And I know that Dave hinted at it a little bit earlier, but just kind of regarding physical education requirements on campus, if John and Patty want to kick that off, and then I can also share a little bit of my personal experience those courses as well.
Sure, thank you. So for our physical education program, which is mandatory for all students, we have, I would call 5 prongs to our PE requirement. One is a fitness assessment, where you will do a brief assessment of your ability, your core strength, your cardio capacity, and you will get feedback from one of our faculty members on your fitness assessment. So everyone does that. And then we have the swim test. Everybody needs to propel themselves. I always say that it's a little bit cheating calling it swimming necessarily, but everybody needs to be able to propel themselves 100 yards, 4 lengths of the pool. And if you can't do that, we have great introduction to swimming classes where it's really almost down to one-on-one personal attention between one of our swimming experts. And we have a great record on making sure you're able to float and then propel yourself by the time you finish that class. And then we have a mandatory 3 classes that everyone takes to your liking. And I'm going to turn over the types of course selection that we have to Patti.
Thanks, John. So our Phys Ed department is, the curriculum is broken up into 4 quarters. And so in the fall, you could take 12 classes and you have to attend 10 of the 12 classes. And, you know, the classes are offered through a wide range of different activities and mostly to encourage lifetime activity, but it's also really fun. So anywhere from bocce ball to spike ball to yoga or toning and Pilates and, you know, racket sports like racquetball and squash and even badminton. You know, the golf facility is available for Phys Ed, and there's just such a variety of classes that you can take to complete this requirement, and you get to be around some great people and around the professors in our department. So it's a lot of fun, and I think it's a really easy requirement to do and achieve. So it's a lot of fun.
So jumping on that for all of you out there, hopefully you choose to come to Hamilton and all you want to do is take Dave Thompson's swimming class for your exercise and cardio work, Patti Cloyt's yoga class for meditation and personal health, and then just to learn something that's incredibly casual and not very demanding at all, take my bocce ball class. So I'm recommending you take those 3 classes upon your arrival to campus.
You heard it here first.
Thought I'd get a little plug in.
There you go. You already have a little bit of insight of some of the courses offered, and now you've met some of the faculty as well in those courses. But just kind of add from my personal experience. So as a varsity athlete, instead of 3 PE courses, we take 2 to fulfill the credits because season technically counts as 1. And one that I really enjoyed, my whole tennis team took badminton together, which we were told was cheating, but after a while, because we were all just playing each other, and our coach would just come and watch. So just a little funny story of my experience, the PE department, but there are a bunch of different options. And from more intense to more like casual, like John said, some bocce ball. So a lot of options there. But I know that Dave also hinted at outside of those physical education classes that there are various other fitness and wellness courses and opportunities offered. If you want to talk about that, Dave.
I'm happy to. Just so you all know, we are going to take very good care of you here at Hamilton. And more importantly, we hope that you'll have a really good sense of how to take care of yourself after you've been through the 4 years and the wellness program. We have a health club here for you. I mean, we have everything that any world-class health club would have. We have fitness classes. These are separate from the PE classes that you heard about. These are primarily at either lunchtime or after classes end, you know, at the end of the day. So they're pretty convenient for students to take part in. So any sort of class that you could imagine at a health club, multiple types of yoga, Pilates, spinning, various aerobic classes, weightlifting, weight training classes, things like that. That's all going to be cycled through the year for your enjoyment at any point during the year. But it's not just physical activity. There's a lot of opportunity when it comes to mental health and stress management. So we're offering sessions in meditation, of course, various stress management classes. We're also doing multiple sessions in nutrition and sleep. There are various wellness discussion groups that you can participate in. We've introduced wellness coaching exclusively for students in the last couple of years. We even have chair massage. Now that's been offline with COVID, but we'll be bringing it back very soon, and a lot of students enjoy that. And so we hope that students will take full advantage of all those types of classes. We're also always open to suggestions. So if you come to the college and there's something that you've seen somewhere else that we don't have, bring it on. We want to have as many different types of classes and as much variety as we can.
Great, thank you so much. And I know that you mentioned a little bit about kind of the facilities available earlier, but I know that a big staple now in the fitness center has become those Peloton bikes that we have, and a lot of, that students take advantage of. So if you want to maybe give us a little insight to kind of the equipment options available to all sorts of athletes on campus would be great.
Absolutely. One of the many fun things that I get to do in my job is I get to pick out new equipment for the fitness center every 3 years. We're on a 3-year lease, which enables us to stay with state-of-the-art equipment. And of course, the rage right now are Peloton bikes. Now, a lot of commercial gyms don't have Peloton bikes, but we have Peloton bikes. We've got 5 of them right now, and we're up for a new replacement cycle this coming fall. So we're going to have probably 10 or more Peloton bikes in our gym. In addition to that, we've got probably 4 different types of ellipticals. We have 2 different types of treadmills. We have at least 2 or 3 other types of stationary bikes, and virtual reality bikes and spin bikes. We've got fantastic spin bikes. So you pretty much name it, and we've got it. And we're very fortunate that we get to turn this equipment over on a very regular basis. So if you come here, you're going to have new equipment first year, and then you're going to have new equipment in your senior year. Pretty good deal.
Great. John, do you have anything to add on to that, or do you think we got the gist of the equipment available on campus and the facilities?
No, I think you guys covered it. I would offer, just the only comment I would offer would be that our facilities are available to everyone. We don't have any facilities that are specially carved out or earmarked for any specific population in our community. There are obviously times when things are scheduled and being used, but everything is available to everyone.
And I wanted to mention one other thing too, because I'm just so proud of this. You know, the college's commitment to fitness and health is so strong that someone that runs the college came up with a great idea of putting our equipment outdoors in the fall. When we first came back, you guys remember that, there's a gigantic tent over near some of our facilities, and they took all of the cardio equipment and put it out there so students would have access, so there'd be no worries and everyone would be safe. So I thought that was just a great thing, and I don't think many other schools thought of that or did that.
Definitely was a fun sight to see everyone outside working out in our own makeshift outdoor gym there for a few months. I know kind of that Dave and John talked about various kinds of physical activity options available to students, but kind of as touched upon a little bit earlier, we have a lot of various wellness options and also counseling and other services to kind of help students maintain that both physical and mental health balance. Dave, do you want to maybe touch a little bit more on those kinds of services offered as well?
Well, of course, we have a counseling center that's going to offer, therapeutic sessions and all that, which is really separate from our department. As part of our wellness program, as I mentioned earlier, we are doing quite a few stress management sessions. We are doing meditation sessions. And the newest thing in the last 2 years has been wellness coaching, which is really a certified counselor who's available to students on a weekly basis to go over all kinds of, just personal conflict issues, time management, sleep issues, nutrition, any sort of wellness issue that you can think of. Those are the kinds of things that we're dealing with. And then there are the various discussion groups where small groups of students get together over here in one of our facilities and talk with an instructor about, again, various wellness concerns, usually to do with stress management, or sleep, nutrition, conflict management, things like that. So those would be the main things that we're doing with our program.
Great. Thank you guys so much for all that useful information. And now we're going to be transitioning into our next section of questions, which is focused on varsity athletics largely. And so we'll get to hear from Nigel and his experiences, as well as all our other panelists. But if you have any other questions regarding wellness and fitness at Hamilton, feel free to put them in the chat and we can get around to those as well. But I guess just to kind of get started, obviously times have been pretty unprecedented and athletics have had to change as well. How would you guys say that the athletics program here at Hamilton has adjusted to COVID, and what are the college's plans looking like for the fall? If John wants to kick it off, and then we can go to Patti as well.
Sure, thank you. I am very proud of our intercollegiate program. We have state-of-the-art facilities. We have top-notch coaches. We have tremendous student athletes participating in our programs. We have great athletic training staff. We have great strength and conditioning program. So we really have every facet you would want as an intercollegiate athlete. We have around 35% of the student body participating on our 29 teams. We have 15 women's programs and 14 men's programs. And so a very robust athletic department, to say the least. We have, as I said, we have great coaches across all of our programs. And we're really, really proud of what we do and what we offer and who participates with us. I'll stop there and turn it to Patti as one of our head coaches to offer her thoughts, and then I'll come back to COVID.
Thanks, John. I just would like to highlight the philosophy in the department. I think that, John's leadership has really instituted a co-curricular philosophy where we believe that we supplement your academic education with an education on our athletic teams. And that education can be comprised of anything that has to do with, working with a group of people and understanding who you are as a person and developing self-awareness and really finding out what it takes to compete in a very high level conference across the board in all sports. So I do think it's a wonderful model of athletics, and that, it does afford students the opportunity to really dive into the college and all that it offers academically and club-wise and studying abroad and anything that you want to pursue, because, it really is, the athletic programming is really dialed into a specific season. So for example, in my sport, our athletes really enjoy studying abroad in their junior fall and studying anything that they want to study on campus because, we start February 15th and play through the spring. And there really isn't a lot of commitment in what would normally be an off season. So it is a unique model of athletics across all of Division III. And it's kind of like, we follow our own rules in the NESCAC, guided by our presidents, similar to how the Ivy League manages the Ivy League. So it really does offer a wonderful way in which teams function. And I think that when leadership is formed within all of our teams, because many of our teams, even though they're guided by us coaches as like the executive directors, if you will, the leadership of our teams really have opportunity to lead because the teams are self-governed and they're really accountable to each other. And I think there's such value in having students work together and making their team what they want it to be. And I see a lot of ownership across all of our teams on our campus to really be proud of what they're doing. I do see a lot of connection between our student athlete body and a lot of effort for our student athletes to stay connected with the community at large. So quite often you will see a very visible teams on campus who are attending a lot of community service efforts and also working together with a lot of various groups. I've experienced many of the women on our team having lots of mutual friends within our team, and also like having friends that are also outside of the team that aren't mutual to the team. So I think that the way in which the college brings our students to campus is a wonderful model as well, because I think it takes all of our students and blends them together in a really healthy way. And they get to pick and choose how they're going to navigate their college experience. So.
Yes, thank you, Patty. I'll jump back over to COVID and just talk briefly, but I'd really love to hear the experience that you two as student athletes have had trying to deal with COVID. We have met every week, literally, as athletic directors in NESCAC, trying to sort through all the policies, procedures, guidelines, protocols that we need to follow for healthy and safe return to sport. So we have practiced all year long. As Dave Thompson alluded, our maintenance, our facility folks did a great job making sure we still had strength and conditioning and cardio areas for training. Our coaches have all worked closely with our sports medicine staff to work our way from phase 1 to phase 2 to phase 3. So starting in small groups with very minimal contact, to then increasing it slightly, increasing group sizes and increasing the cutting down on the spacing, if you will, to the point where we've just recently gone into phase 3 in the last month or so across our different teams. And we finally are competing again. So it was wonderful to watch Patti Cloyt's team, for example, play this past weekend for the first time in over a year. So we're all actively competing again in our spring sports. And we are paying as mindful attention to being healthy and safe as we possibly can. Nigel, I'd love to hear from you on your perspective as a football player at the college, what the year's been like for you personally.
Yeah, so COVID threw everything through a loop. I wasn't here last semester. It was actually remote. And so, being here this spring has been my first time on campus since last spring, and things have been completely different. But I've still been able to enjoy myself. I'm glad that, I've been able to experience a spring season with the football team. We've been practicing for a few weeks now, and things have been going well. And academically, professors have done a good job of, really changing their game plan and really moving remote and offering, a lot of office hours, so that, even though we're not meeting with them, face to face, there's still, a bunch of availability to meet with them, over Zoom. And so, the adjusting period to COVID has definitely been, a rough transition, but it's been a, one that's been manageable for sure. So.
Yeah, and just to add on to Nigel's points there, it's definitely been a different transition during COVID, but I think just how productive we've been on campus and just, taking precautions into consideration and being super diligent about COVID. That's pretty much why we're able to have somewhat of a modified spring sports season. I know everyone's really thankful for that. And so I think that also sports are bringing the community together on campus too. So it's great to see kind of like students being able to support each other and seeing fans at the sporting events. I know it's a lot of fun at our home match on Saturday, seeing everyone come out, and it was 75 degrees and pretty outside. So good weather for that. But Nigel, I guess just kind of like also from your perspective, just kind of like on the dynamic between like varsity athletes and like the rest of the student body, how would you kind of describe that to our guests?
Right. Yeah. So Hamilton, is a small community. Everyone knows everyone. You're taking classes with lots of new people, and you're meeting new faces. Seems like every single day. We all have the same classes. We all live together, in different residence halls. And so, it really helps build a sense of community. And, I see it as a best of both worlds, because it's nice to hang out with the athletes, when you're training, when you're lifting, and, when you're in practice. It's nice to be in that environment, but it's also nice to, decompress after, being with athletes and going to your residence hall and, talking with non-athletes and talking about their days. And, it's the conversations are different. And, being able to, I guess, be, parts of, again, that locker rooms and, just like a common room in your residence halls and hearing those different conversations, it really, allows you to put things into perspective. And I call it the best of both worlds, honestly. So.
Yeah, great. Thanks. Yeah, it's definitely nice because I think that the community is so integrated at Hamilton too, that there isn't really that divide between student athletes and the rest of the student body. I think if anything, it's just kind of adds to the support. And, it's great to see everyone kind of being able to turn out for sporting events now in the spring too. But now there's also a question just kind of about little like logistics regarding walk-ons for varsity sports and kind of how common it is and like that process. If John and Patti want to kind of talk a little bit about that as well.
Sure, Patti. So do you want to just chat about your own program and how you work it through, and then I'll expand it to the whole department.
Sure. I currently have 3 walk-ons on my team right now, and I think the process can vary. So, sometimes I have admitted students reach out in the summer before they arrive and, connect them with students on my team and who can show them the ropes of how we begin and introduce them to the strength coaches and, just really embrace them into the process so that when they're finally allowed to try out on February 15th, which is quite a long time from when they arrived, I feel like, giving them the fairest opportunity to do that once it's time is what is the right thing to do. And so in the meantime, I meet with this student or talk with her on the phone or just get to know about her lacrosse experience. And if she has any film that's helpful, and it's not required, but also, talk with coaches just to get to know the athlete as much as possible. And then, talk with her a little bit about what the process is. So I think that reaching out to coaches is a really good idea, especially before the summer. Sometimes I have lacrosse student athletes who have played soccer or field hockey their whole life, and they get to the middle of June and it's close to having to be that time where they're starting to train for soccer or field hockey. And then they're like, oh, I don't have to because I'm not going to play. And then it's all of a sudden it's like, but maybe I want to. And then I encourage them, they reach out to me and ask, hey, what do you think about trying out for soccer or field hockey or basketball or what have you? And it's like, go for it. The worst thing that can happen is you don't make it, but how do you know if you don't try? So, but the biggest thing is get the information that you need from the various coaches so that you set yourself up for the best opportunity to make it. So, many of the teams are working out in preparation for the season. So find out what they're doing and get in touch with the coach.
Thanks, Patti. I'll take it a step further and talk more broadly across all of our programs. So we have one program in NESCAC football where there's a specific dialed in number that they can't exceed. So football is a little bit different than everyone else in that they have to meet a number. They can't go over the number. Beyond football, it really comes down to individual coaches trying to sort through roster sizes that they feel they can manage appropriately to be fair to everyone in the program. And then we have programs where they're really, so in some instances you would be considered a walk-on and you would have to try out and make the team. But then we have a lot of other sports where you're more than welcome to come out. I guess you'd still kind of be sort of considered going through a tryout period, but more than likely there'll be room on the roster in those programs for you to participate. Track and field comes to mind. Rowing always comes to mind. There's actually novice boats where they specifically have boats on the men's and the women's team for newcomers to the sport who have never participated as a rower. So it runs a wide range. I would say if you're interested in intercollegiate sport, as Patti said, you want to first reach out to the coach If you feel more comfortable reaching out to me as the director, reach out to me and I will communicate directly back to you, and I will put you in contact with the coach.
Thank you guys so much. And now just kind of like another logistics question, and I guess another kind of along the lines of facilities and support available to students. Just a question regarding kind of recovery equipment, injury, rehab, things like that that are available. And then just kind of that accessibility as well, whether non-student athletes also have access to those trainers. If Patti wants to maybe start that off, and then we can go to Nigel with his experiences as well.
I think we have one of the best athletic training clinics in the entire league. Obviously, I've been to nearly every school in the I've been to every school in the NESCAC and also in the Liberty League. So it's one of the most solid athletic training clinics in terms of both hot and cold whirlpools. We have 5 full-time athletic trainers who are very progressive. They understand that our student athletes want to get back into play. They're also very professional when it comes to managing every student and his or her particular situation. They work together with the student, they work together with the health center. Very serious concussion protocols in place here. And I think I've just been very impressed with how any athletic trainer that's been assigned to our team has managed our student athletes. On the front end of that, though, I do think that the commitment to strength and conditioning is part of preventing injury. And they also work with our athletic training personnel as a team to kind of make sure that kids are getting into shape and getting in the proper shape. And I think our strength coaches are very well versed in all of our sports. I know specifically Coach Pierce, who works with my team, he was literally out on the field this afternoon, just watching our kids play, and a really great supporter of them, and watches the game and understands how the game is played, and watches our athletes in the game to get to know the athletes and how they compete on the field, so that when he's working with them in the weight room, he knows who he's working with. And I think that that's really special. And he puts the time in to do that with our team and others. And I think that that's really fantastic. So those 2 facilities and those 2 departments combined, I think, have elevated our athletic programming incredibly.
Great. And just before I jump over to Nigel, just kind of Patti, if you want to elaborate, or if someone else wants to jump in, just kind of on the availability of these trainers and these resources to non-student athletes as well, if someone wants to just quickly touch upon that before we go to Nigel as well.
Sure, I'll jump in. Our trainers assist and help out with kids on club teams. It's not uncommon that you might go down to the training room and there's a dancer from the dance department who's experiencing shin splints or some other problem. And our trainers are there for our campus community. Obviously, there are busier times when they have to focus on getting varsity athletes ready for games and practices, but certainly they work full time for the college and they're accessible and they can help out in a lot of instances. There will be instances where they have to turn something back over to the health center, or perhaps to a local physician or rehab center, but they're definitely available as first contacts, and in a lot of instances can help with rehab. To your other question about equipment and facilities, obviously the trainers, we have a tremendous training room facility that has, as Patti said, hot and cold tubs, all kinds of rehab equipment, state-of-the-art medical equipment. And then it's very common that one of our trainers might send somebody over to the building Dave Thompson's sitting in right now to do rehab work on one of the machines there. So everything is accessible to everybody.
Great, thanks. And Nigel, do you want to talk a little bit about kind of your experience being part of the football team with the trainers, the rehab, things like that available?
Yeah, I'll echo Coach Patti and Mr. Hind. But I think we have the best athletic training staff. they make themselves, available through appointments or walk-ins. They try not to close their doors on you. They really don't want to. They want to help you. They tend to your needs, whether, it be trying to, get back to your sport, recovering from injury, or just trying to, stay strong and get stronger. They tend to your needs. If you need to be iced, they'll ice you. If you need to be, taped, they'll tape you. And so they really have all the technologies in the training room that all the, Division 1s and Division 2s have. And that's something that I was, worried about personally, but they have it all. And, I personally haven't tried out all the equipment that they have. And I think that's a good thing, because that means I'm staying healthy. And so I plan on staying healthy, because if I'm trying out all the equipment that they have, and I think that's a bad thing. And so, but yeah, I think we have the best athletic training staff. And again, they make it an effort to never close their doors on you, and they want to help you. So.
Yeah, definitely good to stay out of that training room though as much as possible, even if we do have the best resources available. And Nigel, I want to kind of go back to you a little bit too, because obviously we've been talking a lot about athletics and our experiences on our teams, but obviously we're students first, athletes second. And just kind of, do you want to talk a little bit about that balance between being a student and an athlete at Hamilton, and just kind of the other things that you're able to be involved with on campus, and how extracurricular involvement looks like for you?
Right. Yeah. So, everyone in my corner understands that school comes first. When I say my corner, I mean, my advisors, my professors, my coaches. And so, starting with my advisor, they understand school comes first, but they help me build a schedule that makes athletics attainable, and that, helps me, attend all my meetings and all my lifts that I need to. And they all work with me. My professors work with me. If my coaches work with me. If I'm struggling in class, and I need to attend a study session, then they understand that comes first, and I should go to that study session instead of going to a lift. And vice versa. If I have a a game in Maine on Saturday morning, and we have to travel on Friday, and I have to miss class on Friday, then my professor will give out an assignment 2 weeks in advance, or they'll offer me a grace period. And so they all work together. They all work well, and helping me achieve my goals, whether that be academically or athletically. And I'll say this also, mental health is very important. It's important to have mental health, because it allows you to maintain that healthy balance. And that means doing things that you like. And something that I picked up while here at Hamilton is meditation. I like meditating a lot, and Hamilton offers a lot of opportunities to do that, whether that be through orientation trips, or just small classes that they offer. You'll get study emails saying to come to the chapel and meditate with us here at noon. And so that's something that I picked up while here at Hamilton, something that I really enjoy now. Allows me to concentrate my thoughts and just debrief. And and so I've made meditating part of my routine. It's helped me keep this balance that you have to have as a student athlete. So.
Yeah, that's great. I know I've been meaning to get around trying that meditation class as well. And I just kind of always slips my mind these past few weeks. But just to kind of like add on from my personal experience as well, I think something that really drew me to Hamilton is that you're not just labeled by one thing that you do on campus. So I don't just feel as though I'm just an athlete, or I'm just a pre-med student, or, I just do research. And I think that flexibility is really reflective of the athletics department at Hamilton, because they don't box you in. You don't just do your sport and that's it. Like Nigel said, you're able to communicate with your professors about things that you might need, and everyone's in your corner, and everyone kind of works together. So I never feel as though I'm sacrificing one part of my college experience for another. And I never thought that, in college I would be able to like pursue pre-med while playing a varsity sport, and also like study abroad and work and do research on campus. And I think that it also kind of speaks volumes to how the campus and how the college really emphasizes, studying what you love and finding your interests both inside and outside the classroom. but kind of like on that note a little bit too, I think, Nigel, maybe we started talking about it a little bit, but just kind of from like our perspective teams, just kind of like the support that we feel from that community. Do you want to talk a little bit about the support that you have from the football team?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, and so this ties kind of goes back into kind of like, everyone in your corner, rooting for you. More specifically, coaches in this sense. It's the relationship that you build with, your coaches and your teammates starts very early. Mine obviously started in the recruiting process, with coaches, reaching out to me and texting me and, letting them know that I wanted. And, that continues today. They text me constantly, and they even text my parents. I know my father retired a few weeks back, and my coach, texted him, congratulated him on that. And, that made his day. And so, there's really like a sense of family there. And then, with the teammates, we're all in this together. We all kind of have the, a shared experience of, going to this, liberal arts college where the academics can be, rough sometimes. You're gonna have, rough days, but we're all in it together, and we're all rooting for each other. And yeah, because we have that shared experience, it just kind of like brings us closer together. And that can, help with our relationship, in the locker room and in the classroom too. And so just the support, I've never had an issue with, my teammates, and they're very supportive. And the relationships that I've built with some of my teammates, I definitely think are lifelong relationships. And I'm definitely gonna be talking about my days up here on the hill with them 10 years from now. And so yeah, I guess if I were to answer that question, the support's been amazing. So.
Yeah, and just to kind of tag on to that quickly, I think that also I feel as though my teammates really look at me as a person first. And I think that we all look at each other as individuals outside of tennis first, and, constantly checking in on each other, especially with COVID. Things have been difficult, just kind of balancing, schoolwork, virtual classes, things like that. And I think it's really important, for all of us to still, even when we weren't having an official season in the fall and winter, being able to get together for team dinners and kind of just keep morale up, and just kind of, make sure we all show up for each other first and foremost off the court, because that also kind of builds that trust on the court. So that's definitely something that I really cherished over these past 4 years on the Hill. But just kind of, that was a little bit of our experiences. And I know that I mentioned a little bit earlier how I've really enjoyed the opportunity to kind of study abroad and do various things outside the classroom, even being an athlete. And John and Patti, do you guys want to talk a little bit kind of like what study abroad looks like for varsity athletes and those opportunities available?
Sure. Again, that runs the range across different programs depending on ability to study abroad. It obviously is the most difficult to study abroad for those who are participating in a sport that covers both semesters, primarily the winter sports that all get started in November and don't finish until March. So they overlap both semesters. It's difficult to take off one semester or the other. But coaches understand, and it doesn't mean we haven't had kids study abroad. It just means it's a little bit more difficult, and we try to explore every option. For example, is there an abroad summer program you might be able to take? And then there are complexities with that too, with earnings and stuff. So we understand that every situation's a conversation. And then it's pretty liberal with respect to, since we don't play non-traditional seasons, there's not really a problem with studying abroad for a fall athlete to go away in the spring or a spring athlete to go away in the fall. Someone like yourself who plays tennis, all those sports that are part of both semesters, like tennis and rowing and golf, they have a more traditional competitive season. And it's common that students will take the other season. You could talk to that better than I can, but it's not unheard of that a student will take the primary portion of their season as well. We want to support every endeavor for every student that we can to just be like every other student, with an understanding that intercollegiate athletics is really important to them, but so are a lot of other things on campus.
Yeah, it's very common for the women on our team specifically to go abroad in the fall. It's something that we encourage, and it's very rare that our students don't. It was really funny the last fall that they were allowed to go. We had 8 students abroad in Europe, and we have a huge tailgate at the football game for our students and their parents during Parents Weekend. And we took a huge picture of our whole group and sent it to everybody abroad and telling them that we miss them and we wish you were here and all of this. And they instantly sent this picture back. They all met in Paris at the Eiffel Tower, and they're like, we're doing great. We're having a great time. So it was really funny. We were like, oh, well, that's awesome. Good for you guys. Anyway.
Yeah, thank you guys. I remember hearing that story when all my friends on the lacrosse team were abroad. Definitely kind of helps you travel with the Hamilton community, even if you do take that opportunity to explore international or domestic study abroad opportunities. And I know we've been talking a lot about varsity athletics this past segment, but there are also a lot of club and intramural sports available as well. And we're gonna kind of segue into that section of this Q&A. And like I mentioned earlier, if anyone else has any questions pertaining to varsity athletes, please feel free to put it in the chat. But just kind of with regards to intramural and club sports, Dave, can you maybe talk a little bit about like the difference between club and intramural, like time commitment and kind of the availability on campus?
Absolutely. As John indicated earlier in the Zoom, a high number of our students are very active and wanting to play sports at all different levels. And that's where, for students who aren't interested or at a level where they can play varsity sports, that's where the club program would come in. And then for students who just want a lighter, more recreational, but semi-organized experience, that's where the intramural program would come in. With intramurals, I work with a student committee, so there's tremendous student input and as to how we do it and when we do it, and what sports we do. We're going to run sport leagues with regularly scheduled games and championships and semifinals and all that in sports like football, flag football, soccer, volleyball, kickball, hockey, and basketball, and there's probably a few that I'm forgetting. We also run one-time tournaments on a weekend in sports events like home run derby is something we've done and that we'll be doing again this spring. Dodgeball is a real popular one. We're running a spike ball tournament in 2 weeks. We'll run one-time tournaments in squash or tennis, volleyball. So students make up their own teams, they sign up, we schedule regular contests, and people show up when they can. So there's no pressure, there's no expectation, there's no practice. It's really just to get together and have a friendly competition and have some fun. Club sports is a notch higher than that. That's a level where we do get an intercollegiate opportunity where our teams do travel and play other schools. The range of ability levels on club teams is pretty broad. Usually the core of those teams are students who played the sport in high school, but it would also include students who may be trying something for the first time. So we have club sports that are competing in leagues, primarily in ice hockey, men's and women's soccer, rugby, ultimate frisbee, downhill skiing, cross-country skiing, figure skating, and I'm forgetting a whole bunch of other ones. But we enjoy having those clubs, and they enjoy getting together. They have regular practices, more formally practicing, not as much as varsity. I would say the average practice schedule for a club sport athlete is probably about 3 times a week. So that's the basics of it.
Great, thank you so much. And I know that you mentioned earlier as well, kind of that also club and intramural sports are a great time for students, try something new or try a new sport. And we have a question from the audience kind of asking, would it be possible for students to start a club sports team in their freshman year? And the student says that they were interested in creating a triathlon team. John, John or Dave, do you guys want to maybe talk a little bit about that, but then also kind of regarding like our triathlon ham trek that we have coming up here in a few weeks? Dave, if you want to kick that off.
Well, I believe right now there is a club that incorporates triathlon. And so I think that's already an opportunity for students among our club offerings. And I would invite the person who asked that question to contact me directly, and I will make sure that they can connect and get a little bit more information about that. One of the things that I do is I run community events. So we'll run, a 5K in the fall, and we'll do things like wellness fairs. But one of the other things that's been a great tradition, and now for 17 years, has been the Hamtrek Triathlon. And that's a mini sprint triathlon that students and faculty and staff participate in. And that's coming up we're happy to say, on May 1st. And so I hope, Nigel, that you both will participate in it, and maybe some of my fellow colleagues will be in on it as well. And we just hope every student will experience Hamtrek at some point. And I know for a lot of seniors, it has become sort of a rite of passage. So a lot of them have been asking about it, and they're pleased that we're doing it.
Great, thank you so much. I know a lot of my friends are really looking forward to it and just kind of getting that opportunity again. Definitely adding sense of normalcy on campus and a much loved tradition. And now we kind of want to sort of also segue into some quick, like fun questions about campus and athletics in general, and just kind of, we're going to call them our lightning round of questions. So we'll just kind of go around our panelists, and you guys can answer these in short answers briefly, just on these kind of fun questions. And so to kick it off, if someone wants to go ahead with their favorite wellness or education classes, or a favorite athletics experience. Nigel, do you want to maybe kick this one off, and maybe we can go 2 or 3 panelists chime in?
Yeah, I'll start. My favorite athletics experience would have to be a family weekend, 2019, my freshman year. We played Colby. We beat up on them pretty good. I think, it was a comfortable 30-point victory. It was my first time getting some game time experience, and my family from Florida, was able to come up and see the game, and so they had a fun time. I had a fun time. It was a great weekend. My teammates were having a fun time, and so overall, just a great time. So it was really fun.
Great, thank you. Patti, do you want to maybe tell us your favorite athletics experience or favorites on the hill?
This past weekend was so special to have the team back on the field, and traveling down to Wesleyan and seeing them take the field for the first time in over a year was just, special. Cherished every moment of it. Came back and turned around and played again on Steuben. It was completely surreal. And I don't think that any of us were expecting to, realize how emotional it could be, and in just a really great way, and just full of gratitude and fun. Just a great weekend.
Yeah, definitely. I think that was definitely our team sentiment too, when we were able to compete for the first time 2 weeks ago, and over like 400 days we calculated. And now we're kind of coming to the end here of our panel, but I kind of have a final question for our panelists to kind of end the night on, and that would just kind of be to all our admitted students. What's one piece of advice that you would provide these students as they're making this big decision about where to go to college? If we all just want to quickly chime in on that. Nigel, do you want to maybe go ahead from your experiences with that first?
Yeah, I'll start. So I'll say this: it's important to listen to what people are trying to, the advice that people are trying to offer you. Your parents, your teachers, whoever it is. It's important to listen to what they have to say. But at the end of the day, you have to trust yourself. Because you know yourself more than anyone. You know what you want in life, and you know what your goals are. And so when it comes to this, this decision that you're making about what school you want to attend, you want to look at, which school is going to set you up, or set you up, for the future that you want. And so again, you don't want to make your decision based off what your parents want and what your teachers want, what your friends want, how far away from home you are, how close from home you are. You want to make this decision based on, what you want, and you know yourself more than anyone else. And so just trust yourself, and you'll be all right.
Great, thanks so much. Dave, do you want to give students your piece of advice?
Well, I think Nigel just hit it on the head there, but I would just say, keep doing your homework. You're all obviously done a lot of good homework to get to this point. And if you do your homework and think about, what the important things are in a college and what your priorities are, and that's the most important thing. I think Nigel said it also. What are your priorities? What's important to you? And once you run that through your mind a few times, I'm sure you'll listen to the advice of your loved ones. You'll make the right decision. I'm biased. I think you'll end up here, but you make your own decision, and best of luck to you making it.
Thank you so much. Patti, do you want to give any words of wisdom to the admitted students?
Yeah, I do think it's a search of your own heart in terms of the information that you need to make this decision. And there's lots of creative ways to find that information for yourself. Many institutions, including ours, Hamilton is doing an incredible job of being creative and supporting the information that everybody needs to get to know our people on campus. I think that it's really important to understand the community that you're joining and the people. And I know in this COVID year that's really difficult to figure out, but attending things like this is super important. And also, there's lots of ways in which you can have one-on-one conversations with students on campus or professors on campus. Any of us could put you in touch with anybody in our community that would help you gather more information so that you make a solid decision for yourself. So good luck, everybody.
Thank you. And John, do you want to add on any advice to the fellow admitted students?
Yeah, I will admit up front, though, I am completely biased. So as alum and now director and professor, so open curriculum, study what you love what you study. You're not taking anything you don't want to take. I think Hamilton College you're going to learn during your 4 years at Hamilton how to learn for a lifetime. So we have the academic side covered. Relationship building. You're going to meet your best friends for the rest of your life on the Hill. Opportunity. Every opportunity exists for everyone to do everything in our community. That's where we come in and trying to teach you to organize and prioritize, because we have so much to offer. You can't take advantage of every single thing we have to offer. So we have to try to help you learn to manage that. But I think if you come to campus and you'll be comfortable, and we don't want you to be. You'll be comfortable in that you have tons to do, but we don't want you to ever feel completely comfortable. We want you to feel pushed and challenged, and that will happen. And you'll leave your 4 years with some of your closest friends for the rest of your life. I graduated in 1980, and all my closest friends are Hamilton graduates.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for everyone for sharing some advice and some words of wisdom. My advice would definitely be along the lines of John, in the sense of, I think it's important to find somewhere where you're comfortable, where you're able to pursue all your extracurricular and academic options without kind of compromising on that, because then you'll fully be able to take advantage of your college experience, while at the same time, finding ways to challenge yourself both academically, extracurricularly, and continuing to kind of, create relationships and keeping those at the forefront of your college experience. So those are my senior words of wisdom as I get ready to graduate in a month almost. But I just want to again thank all our panelists. We're kind of coming to the close here of our session. And I also wanted to thank all you admitted students for joining us tonight. We really hope that you learned more about all the athletic and wellness options offered on campus through a wide variety through our department. And if you do have any further questions, please do feel free to send them to admisso@hamilton.edu, and also check out hamilton.edu/explore for future events and programming. And thank you again so much, and have a good night.